Hello, my name is Jodie and welcome to another video. So today I am going to be talking about all the books that I read throughout November. So in November I managed to finish 14 books, which is a lot of books for me. I usually read anywhere from 4 to 10 books a month, 10 being quite rare, so to read 14 was really good for me, and I definitely think that was thanks to the lockdown. I definitely didn't read as much as I could have done during the lockdown, but 14 books is still really good for me. So I read a whole different bunch of different kinds of books, and to be honest, like, I can't even remember fully what I read until I looked at my Goodreads challenge, because that tells you obviously what books you've read recently. I wouldn't be able to remember half the time if it went for Goodreads, so I'm so glad that that exists. So yeah, these are all the books that I managed to read during November, and yeah, it's really heavy, so let's just put it down. So I'm not going to go in any particular order, I'm just going to grab them from the pile and go from there. Hopefully I can remember the ratings for the most part, but we shall see. November was definitely a month for graphic novels and manga for me. I read quite a lot and I'm really enjoying them at the moment, but I did read 3 volumes of Vampire Knight, so I read volumes 4, 5 and 6. Was it 4, 5? No. Got that wrong. I read volumes 3, 4 and 5 of Vampire Knight. I believe I gave all of these 5 stars and I really enjoyed them. I'm just really enjoying this series. It's just a really fun series, and it was the first manga that I ever read, and I'm just really liking the characters. I really love the character Zero. I just think he's a really interesting character, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of character development throughout this series for him, and I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm also really curious about a romance that I think is kind of brewing between 2 characters. It's really difficult for me to tell, and one of the other characters as well, who's a prominent figure in the story, there's a lot of mystery around him, and I feel like we're starting to get more information about that character's past as well, and I'm just really enjoying this series. So I read 3 volumes of this during November and they were all 5 stars. So next I finally read Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I listened to this on audio and I really enjoyed it. Neil Gaiman self-narrates a lot of his books and I just absolutely adore his narration of his books. He just makes them so fun and really does make you enjoy the experience of listening to it via audio, and I just love that. I gave this, I think, 3.5 stars. Like I've said in previous videos, 3 stars is not a bad rating for me. For me, 3 stars is I really liked it, I really enjoyed it, it was fun, it was good. 4 stars is oh my god, I absolutely loved this, and 5 stars is I love this, I'm obsessed and it is now everything. So yeah, that's kind of like what my ratings are like. So 3.5 stars is a really good rating. I really loved this, it was so fun. It is still very close to what the movie is like as well, and I really do need to rewatch the movie because I haven't watched that movie since I was really young, and after reading this it's reignited my interest in watching it again. But I really enjoyed this. I really like the main character, and I really like the character development for this story, because the main character starts off very naive, human, and by the end of it is a totally different person, and I really like that, and I really like the kind of hate to love that kind of exists in this story, and it's just a really fun, quick read, and I just really enjoyed it. Next we have a really short book, so this is a novella, and this is actually Alice Oseman's latest book. So if you guys will have watched some of my vlogs in the past, you will have seen that I really love the Heartstopper series. It is an absolutely amazing series and I cannot recommend it enough. It just makes my heart like warm fuzzy and I love it. But this is a new novella that she has released called This Winter, and this follows Charlie and his 2 siblings, Oliver and Tori I think they're called, and this takes place on Christmas Day. I really enjoyed this. I think it's a really like fun book in a way. Obviously there is massive trigger warnings for eating disorders in here, but she really did a really good job at tackling kind of stereotypes and the stigma surrounding eating disorders, and how I think as well like different generations maybe view it, and also like how the family aspect of that can work and the effects it can have on both the person who is suffering from an eating disorder and the family surrounding them. I think it's really good that that kind of representation is in this book, and she just did a really good job at it, and it's nice to see things like this being discussed about in young adult books, and I just really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars and it was just a really nice read. I just love the family dynamics in this book between Tori and Charlie, even though sometimes they don't necessarily get on, they always kind of are there for each other, and Oliver is just so sweet and he adores Charlie and it's just really cute, and it's set on Christmas, so it's just really nice to read. So yeah, 5 stars for this one. The next is another Neil Gaiman book, and this is another one I listened to on audio. I really love this. This was so fun. I think I rated it 4 stars, but thinking about it I probably maybe bump it up to 4.5. It was just so fun. I just really enjoyed my reading experience with this. So the book I'm talking about is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. This was just, yeah, it was really, really good. It's so eerie, like, I don't know how he does it, but this starts off very brutal. Like, it's not really a spoiler because it kind of does tell you this in a synopsis, but it starts with a brutal murder of an entire family and the killer trying to murder a baby. And it's just very, like, horrible and very intense, and that is the whole, like, that's where it starts. And then there's this whole mystery. We kind of grow up with Bod, who was the baby who got away, and we grow up with him and his life throughout the graveyard and him becoming like the person he's supposed to be and a bit more of an adult. And it's just, it's so nice. It's a really good story. I just absolutely adored this. It was so fun and really creepy. So I think I'd probably bump up my rating from Goodreads and give this 4.5 stars. I just, yeah, I loved it. So next we have another manga, and that is Death Note Volume 1. So I read this for my weekend reading vlog and I really, really enjoyed this. I think I gave this 4 stars as far as I can remember, and it was just really, really good. I really, really enjoyed this. I kind of knew I'd like it. I really, really like, I can't pronounce his name, but the guy who owns the Death Note, like, not the character, the human, the like death god, like, I can't remember what he's called, but I really, really like him. I just think he's really funny. I kind of like the dynamic between him and the main character. I just think it's just really, really fun and entertaining. But I also really like how this kind of, in a weird way, discusses like morality and what's right and wrong and like the extent of certain things. I don't know, like, it really just touched on some kind of interesting like themes in here, and I just overall really, really enjoyed this. I can't wait to pick up the rest of the volumes in this series. But yeah, this was just so fun, and I really like the art style as well, so I'm excited to continue with this, and I think I gave it 4 stars. So next is a book I finished for my weekend reading vlog, and that is Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. This is a book I've wanted to read for the longest time and had never gotten around to it, and I finally decided to, and I loved it. I love Jupiter. He is so funny, and I love Morrigan. She's just really like witty and very like harsh in a way. Like, she just says it how it is. She just doesn't really care, and she's just such a funny little character, and she's just really likable. And I just really, really enjoyed this. I like the world, I like the friendships in here, and especially Jupiter. Like, I just, yeah, I really, really liked him. And this was just such like a fun read and really entertaining, and I can see why it's such a well loved book by so many people. Yeah, so I gave this 4 stars. It was just so fun. I'm really, really excited to read the rest of the books because I have books 2 and 3. I'm definitely jumping into Wondersmith very soon because this was just so fun. So next is one of my favourite books of this year. This was just so fun and entertaining. I love this, although I do have a few little nitpicks about it. But the book I'm talking about is How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. So this is a collection of stories, I'd say, about Carden, and it kind of touches upon Carden when he's younger. It gives a bit of background and a bit of an insight into why he is the way he is and things that happened to him in his past. But then we also have some stories in here that take place after Queen of Nothing. I do feel like some of the stuff we'd already kind of learned in the Folk of the Air trilogy. It just kind of gave you a little bit more insight, and then I do wish there was more Jude in here because there's only the odd thing to do with Jude in here, which I thought this was literally going to be like more of Carden's perspective on things that happen with Jude. There are a few things in here, and it's really, really like fun, and it's really, really cute as well. But I just wish there was more like Jude Carden stuff in here. This isn't the copy I actually read. I actually read and tabbed this one here. So as you can see, I did tab it, and yeah, I tabbed a lot of stuff in here that I just really, really liked. Oh, I really loved the bit to do with the Alice in Wonderland book. I loved that. That was so good. And I really, really loved the story to do with the boba tea place. That is just so sweet, and I just really loved it. Yeah, this was just so fun. I loved it. Like I said, I do have a few little nitpicks, but I just loved this. I read it in one sitting, so yeah. So I gave this 5 stars because it was just amazing, and all I need now is the Folk of the Air trilogy, but from Carden's perspective, and then I will die happy. Like, I need the whole series from his perspective. So if I get that, I will be very, very happy. But for now, this has kind of satisfied me and I really, really enjoyed it. So definitely 5 stars. Following on from that, I also read Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. So I'd put off reading this for quite a while. I reread The Cruel Prince earlier this year and I bumped my rating up for that book massively. When I first read it a few years ago, I think I gave it like 2.5 or 3 stars. It just wasn't there for me. I think I read it at the wrong time and I was comparing it to too many other similar books I'd read at the time. Once I reread it earlier this year, I totally appreciated it a lot more and I rated it 5 stars. And I read Wicked King, 5 stars, love that. But I was so annoyed at the ending. Yeah, I was very, very angry at Carden and I kind of got a bit stubborn and refused to pick this one up for a while because I was just still like a bit scared to see why he'd done what he did. And yeah, so I didn't read this for the longest time, and then when King of Elfhame was released, I was like, oh my god, like I need to read Queen of Nothing so I can read that. And that's what I did. I read this and I loved it. I think I gave this 4 stars because it just didn't quite hit the mark the same way that the first 2 books did, but it was still really good. It was a good conclusion as well, and yeah, I just really, really enjoyed this. So I really do hope Holly Black continues with these characters because I really love both of these characters and I love them together as well. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars, I believe. So next is Hunting Prince Dracula by Kerry Maniscalco. So I think I gave this one 4 stars and I was reading this as part of Vampathon and I just hadn't finished it. So I finished this at the start of the month and I really, really enjoyed this. This was just so good. I absolutely adore Thomas Cresswell. He's just, yeah, I love Thomas Cresswell so much and I love his relationship with Audrey Rose, and this was just like really fun. I didn't love it as much as Stalking Jack the Ripper, which is why I've rated it 4 stars instead of 5, but I really, really loved it. It was just so good. I love this series and I love the characters and I just can't wait to continue with it. And lastly, we have some graphic novels. So I read this graphic novel for my weekend reading vlog and I rated this 5 stars. I absolutely loved this. The art style in here is my aesthetic. I loved it. The dark, twisted element to the stories, loved it. Everything about this, just chef's kiss, amazing. Like, literally so good. I really need to find some more graphic novels that are like this because this is a very niche kind of graphic novel and I just love this dark kind of vibe it has. I love the illustrations, and this is actually a collection of about 5 stories I think, and I just really, really love this so much. It was just, yeah, I read it in one sitting and I want more. Like, I really want more like this. If anyone does have any recommendations following this one, then please do let me know because I'm here for them. But I gave this 5 stars and I honestly can't recommend this enough. If you're looking for a good graphic novel, definitely look into this one because it is just so good. Next is another graphic novel I finished during my weekend reading vlog as well, and this was one I read in one sitting and 5 stars, loved it. I've picked up the next volumes and I plan to read them ASAP because I just really, really enjoyed this. I don't know exactly what it was about it, but for some reason I was just hooked instantly and I just can't wait to read the whole series. I feel like it's just a really binge-worthy series. That is Fence Volume 1 by C.S. Pacat and I just love this. It was just so good. I love a bit of rivalry and I feel like there's a bit of like enemies to lovers gonna go on in this series, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Like, I just think it's really fun, it's really quirky, it's different, and yeah, it's just a really easy read. So 5 stars. And then lastly we have another graphic novel, and this was one I was also reading for Vampathon. I finished at the very start of the month, and that is Anita Blake, Vampire Hunter Guilty Pleasures Volume 1. So I really, really enjoyed this. I can't remember my rating for this one though. This feels like it was forever ago. So I gave this 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. I really like the main character. She is a badass, and I like kind of, it seemed like there was a little bit of a romance kind of happening in here and a lot of intrigue, and I just really want to see what happens next. The only thing is there's not many volumes of this that I can find, and I'm really confused because there seems to be 2 different series. So if anyone does know which is the next few volumes in this specific series, then please let me know. But I really want to continue with this because I just really, really enjoyed it. I love the vampire element in here. It was so good. Vampires like openly exist in the human world, and there's a string of murders happening. Vampires are being murdered, and even the vampires are now turning to the vampire hunter for help. And she's just such a badass, and I just really, really enjoyed this. It was so good, and I just want to read the next one, but I just don't know which one that is. Really, really enjoyed this, and I gave it 4 stars. So that concludes my November wrap up. I am very, very pleased with all the books I managed to read, and a lot of them, well, the majority of them were 4 or 5 stars for me, so I had a really good reading month, and I'm very excited to read some of the sequels for some of these books as well. But yeah, please do let me know in the comments which books you read during November, or which were your favourites, or if you've read any of these, because I'd love to know. And I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will have my weekend reading vlog linked down below, along with a list of all the books that I've mentioned in this video as well. My social medias will be linked down below where you can follow me as well. So you can follow me on Instagram at vanillaxmoon, where I post bookish photos every day, or you can also follow me on Twitter at vanillamoonx. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.